Yvonne, and I'm going to continue my teaching series, Hell, Fact or Fiction. There are two men in the Bible who died or who had near-death experiences, and that is the prophet Jonah and the apostle Paul. While Jonah saw hell, Paul saw paradise. However, in this study, we will look only at Jonah's experience with hell. In Jonah's experience, his testimony of hell, his 3-day stay in hell, is riveting, to say the least. First, we will examine the historical background of the book of Jonah. The time was around 793 to 760 BC, and the setting was in the Mediterranean Sea and Nineveh, the capital of Assyria. According to the Bible, Jonah was commanded by God to go to the city of Nineveh and preach against it for its great wickedness. And Jonah was to tell the people of Nineveh to repent of their sins or face impending judgment within 40 days. However, instead of doing as God had instructed, Jonah foolishly decided to flee from the presence of the Lord by boarding a ship from Joppa to Tarshish. God, aware of Jonah's disobedience, he caused a mighty tempest to form in the sea. And the ship would have capsized or ran aground had the crew not thrown Jonah overboard. So Jonah was cast alive into the Mediterranean Sea, where he drowned. And then Jonah's body was swallowed up by a large fish that was especially prepared by God for this particular purpose. God punished Jonah for his disobedience by allowing him to see and experience hell firsthand. Now Jonah chapter 2 verse 2 reads, "And I cried by reason of mine affliction unto the Lord, and he heard me out of the belly of hell, cried I, and thou heardest my voice." Many people erroneously think that Jonah's reference to the belly of hell has to do with his being alive in the belly of a well for 3 days. However, Jonah is speaking of something of a far greater significance. In Jonah chapter 2, verses 5 through 6 reads as follows, "The waters compassed me about, even to the soul. I went down to the bottom of the mountains. The earth with her bars was about me forever. Yet hast thou brought up my life from corruption, O Lord my God." Most people who have experienced near death or an out-of-body experience, they report being fully aware of what was taking place with it, such as resuscitation efforts, the people around them, their body position, and more. And no doubt, Jonah saw his body drowned and swallowed up by a large fish before his soul and spirit were carried into hell. Job 38:10 tells us that God has set bars and doors upon the seas and the ocean's floors. In our study of the earth's composition, we learned, you may recall, that the ocean's floors sit close to the earth's crust and mantle, and therefore closest to hell. And Jonah's use of the word corruption does not speak of his unpleasantness while in the belly of the sea monster for so long, but of death and of hell. Because God literally preserved, he kept Jonah's body from undergoing physical decay and corruption while in the belly of the well for those 3 days. God allowed Jonah to experience the reality of hell in order to show him the fate of all those that persist in sin and disobedience against him. And it was only after Jonah repented of his sin and called upon the Lord that God resurrected him from the dead. And it says in Jonah chapter 2 verse 7, "When my soul fainted within me, I remembered the Lord, and my prayer came in unto thee in thine holy temple." Jonah was so fearful of what he had seen and experienced in hell that he made what literally should have been a 3 days journey to Nineveh in a day's time. Jesus revealed that Jonah was an actual historical figure who lived and died. He likened his resurrection to Jonah's because just as Jonah's body lay in the belly of a great fish for 3 days and 3 nights, so his body would lie 3 days and night in the tomb. Also, like Jonah, he, Jesus, would spend 3 days and nights in the heart of the earth, first preaching to the righteous dead in Abraham's bosom, and then the unrighteous dead and those principality spirits in hell, assuring them of their fate and his ultimate victory against death, hell, and the grave through the efficaciousness of his Lastly, like Jonah, Jesus was resurrected after 3 days, bringing new life to many. He said in Matthew chapter 12, verse 40 through 41, that the people of Nineveh were saved because of the preaching of Jonah. Jesus also said it will be these same people that will rise up at the time of the great judgment to condemn successive generations for their failure to repent at the preaching of Christ, are far greater than Jonah. There are people who are dying every day, lost in their sins, and who are experiencing the infernos of hell. Some are not permitted to return, but are being tormented in hell, while there are others who are given the God-given opportunity to return, if for no other reason than to bear witness, to give testimony of the reality of this horrific place. God is giving some people the opportunity that the rich man begged for in Luke chapter 16, verses 27 through 28. And that is the opportunity to return and warn others about this horrific place. And yet many people are ignoring their first-hand account of hell. And it says in Luke chapter 16, verse 31, and he said unto him, if they hear not Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded, though one rose from the dead. And such is true for people today. Many people are not going to believe in the reality of a literal hell until they see it and experience it for themselves.
Into the sky, and I could see the earth below. And out of the earth came types of tornadoes or funnels like. And I asked Jesus, what are these? Jesus said, these are gateways into hell. And I knew within me that these could not be seen with the natural eye, but with the eyes of the Spirit. I remember hearing people say when they died, they went down a dark tunnel, and I knew this was what they were talking about. We began to descend down one of these gateways into hell. Friends, there was a deep darkness all around, and a smell so horrible that it was hard to breathe. All along the sides of this tunnel were forms of all sorts embedded into the walls, and a gray mesh in front of them. They could move out, but would be still attached to the walls were demon powers behind this gray mesh. A horrible smell and terrible screams came from the inside of this tunnel. My friends, if Jesus Christ had not been with me, I would not be here today to share with you this revelation of hell. These evil spirits seem to be ready to be spewed upon the earth. Evil laughter rang out and screams of death and an odor so horrible that I could hardly breathe. Yes, I had all my senses, and I was in a spirit form. Truly, the Lord thy God has all power of heaven and earth. My friends, this is not pretty what you're going to hear. Screams so sad filled the air as we came near the base of the tunnel. Piercing cries and screams were coming up the dark tunnel to meet us. I could hear cries of all sorts filling the air.
Hi guys, this is Lavon, and I just want to introduce you after the teaching to some products that I highly recommend that you consider for your own personal library. And the first is Escape from Hell. That's a video. I'm sure you can get it in a DVD format. The next one is A Divine Revelation of Hell by Mary Kay Baxter, and I know that this is an audio and it's also available in book format and even for your computer as an ebook. And then finally we have 23 Minutes in Hell, and that's by Bill Wiese. And in this particular book, Bill Wiese gives his own personal testimony of how he spent 23 minutes in a literal hell. Well, if you're interested in any of these products, you can just simply visit the description box down below. And I'll see you in our next teaching. God bless you.